Hello, my name's Jill Critchley. I'm the course director for Mediterm Training. I hope you enjoy some of the videos we're going to use on this course. So, what is medical terminology? Medical terminology refers to the words and phrases which have been developed to describe diseases, conditions, procedures, instruments and structures used in medicine. It is in a very real sense the language of medicine. And if it at first appears to be a foreign language, that's because it is. It's all Latin and Greek. There are over 100,000 medical terms, and it would be impossible to commit the spelling and meaning to memory. But most seemingly complex medical words are simply combinations of much smaller subsections of words. This is an important concept to understand. There are many word parts to memorise, but once learned, they can be combined to form literally thousands of words. There are 4 possible word parts. Any medical term may contain one, some, or all of these word parts. The root. This is the main part of the word and tells us what part of the body we're talking about. It's always a noun and it's always a part of the body. The prefix. This word part is found before the root and tells us more about the body part. It may describe position, size, or colour, etc. The suffix. This word part is found after the root and gives further information about what is happening to the body part. Is it being removed? Is it inflamed? Is there a tumour in it? Etc. The 4th part is the linking or combining vowel. This is a vowel which is added to the root when necessary to allow easy pronunciation. It's usually an O. Very importantly, if the suffix begins with a vowel, the O is dropped. So let's have a look at some medical words using those word parts. Poly, the prefix meaning many. Neuro, the root word meaning nerve. Itis, a very common suffix meaning inflammation. We drop the O as the suffix begins with a vowel and combine the word parts, making the word polyneuritis. We start at the end and come to the beginning. Inflammation of many nerves. Polyneuritis. Let's have a look at another one. This time the prefix is N. A small prefix, only 2 letters, but it means inside. The root word kephal, meaning head. And the suffix gram, meaning a picture, an X-ray or a tracing. Now in this instance the suffix begins with a consonant, so we keep that O and the word becomes encephalogram. We still start at the end in our translation. It becomes a picture inside the head, i.e. the brain. Let's have a look at another one. The prefix peri, meaning around. Cardio, you might guess that is the heart. And let's bring itis back as the suffix, meaning inflammation. The same rules apply. We drop the O because the suffix begins with a vowel, but that would leave us 2 I's together, so one of the I's also has to be dropped, thus making the word pericarditis. Again, we start at the end. Inflammation around the heart. Let's have a look at another one. Endo. Endo and N both mean the same. They both mean inside. Let's bring in the same root word and the same ending, the same suffix. So the same rules apply. We drop the O as the suffix begins with the vowel and the I, and the word becomes endocarditis. But this time it's inflammation inside the heart. So we had pericarditis, inflammation around the heart, endocarditis, inflammation inside the heart. Let's have a look at another heart inflammation. Myo. Myo is muscle. We're still bringing the same cardio and the same itis. Still the same rules apply. We start at the end. The word becomes myocarditis, this time inflammation of the muscle of the heart. let's have a look at another one. An is a very small prefix again, meaning an absence of something, or without. Hemo, you could probably guess, means blood. And a tiny suffix, ia, meaning condition of. One further rule we have to apply, as well as dropping the O, when the root word begins with an H, as in this instance, we drop the H also. So the word becomes anemia, a word you would all recognise, not probably thinking that it's actually three word parts put together. So anemia means the condition of being without blood, though in real terms it means the condition of being without hemoglobin in the blood. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the bones in the skeleton, starting at the top with the skull, known medically as the cranium. The bottom part of the cranium forms the upper jaw, which is known as the maxilla. The lower jaw is known as the mandible. Obviously these are very similar sounding words, maxilla and mandible, and one good way to remember which is that you dribble out of the mandible. If we turn the skeleton round to the back, we'll look at the bones of the spine. 24 bones in all, and these bones are called vertebrae. The top 7 vertebrae in the neck are known as cervical vertebrae. Because cervical begins with a C, they're known as C1, C2, all the way through to C7. The next 12 vertebrae are known as the thoracic vertebrae, and we would know them as T1 all the way through to T12. A pair of ribs comes out from each one of these thoracic vertebrae and goes round to the front to act as an armour for the heart and lungs. If we turn the skeleton round back to the front, we can see the lumbar vertebrae. There are 5 bones in the bottom part of the lumbar vertebrae, known as L1, L2, L3, L4 and L5. Those are all vertebrae are separated by a disc. If we have a look at the back again, you can see the rest of the spine. These bones are all fused together and are known as the sacrum. It looks a little bit like the bottom of an iron. The remaining 5 bones are all also fused together to form the coccyx, which is our old tailbone throwback from evolution that we don't need anymore. If we go back up the skeleton to the shoulder blade, the scapula. This is the bone that actually holds the arms onto the skeleton. If we move to the front, we see the collarbone, the clavicle. People confuse these all the time, the clavicle and the shoulder blade. A good way to remember, clavicle and collarbone both begin with C. Shoulder blade and scapula both begin with an S. Moving down to the sternum, the breastbone. This is the bone where the ribs are attached. The top 7 pairs of ribs attached to the breastbone with this cartilage, this blue area here. The next 4 pairs of ribs are actually attached to the rib above it, also with cartilage. And then we have 1 pair of floating ribs, also a throwback from evolution and no longer any use to us at all. Moving into the upper arm, we have the humerus, the funny bone. But very careful how this is spelt. It's not humerus as in funny, it's Humerus. Moving down to the 2 bones in the lower arm, the outer bone is the radius, the inner bone the ulna. If I move him down a little, we can see the bones in the hand. Moving to the bones in the wrist, known as carpals. There are 8 little bones in the wrist, but we know them collectively just as carpal bones. The bones moving from the wrist to the top of the hand are metacarpals, as meta means beyond. And then we have the bones in the fingers, 14 bones in the fingers, 3 in each of the main fingers and 2 in the thumb. Moving over to the pelvis, which of course is the hip. As we move down into the thigh bone, this is the femur, the longest, strongest, heaviest bone in the body. Beyond the femur, we'll find the patella, the kneecap. It's a very common exam question, so make sure you know the patella is the kneecap. As I move the skeleton a little bit further down to the lower limbs, the bone in the front is known as the tibia, the shin bone, the bone at the back, the fibula, the calf bone. Collectively they're sometimes called tib and fib, but their endings are different. The spellings are completely different at the end. Moving to the bones in the feet, the ankle bones are known as tarsals. And just like the bones in the hands, we have metatarsals. Where we had metacarpals in the hand, we have metatarsals at the top of the feet. And finally, the bones in the toes, exactly the same as the bones in the hand. In the fingers, we have 14 bones in each of the 4 toes and the main big toe.